And hello. Welcome to the Real Food and Drinks Lifestyle Podcast. We are building a community to talk about nutrition, lifestyle choices, and just feeling better. This is Shonda.
And this is Patrice.
Let's just be real. Here's our disclaimer. We do not professionally practice in any of the various subjects that we discuss. We are only sharing our personal experiences with you to a healthier lifestyle. Please do your own research before taking part in any of these practices. We thought that since we're in the COVID-19 environment, that it would be good to talk about immunity and how to build your immune system in today's environment. So we decided on an immunity series of podcasts. We'd like to start with immunity foods, actually. And the first thing that came to mind was tea and water. And in the middle of our recording and conversations, we realized that we had so much to share. So we have divided tea and water into two different segments. So they will be presented in two different podcasts. Today, on this episode, we will be talking about immunity and tea. So we each decided on a topic, and you chose tea and I chose water. This week we did do a little research. We wanted to bring you some accurate facts about tea and water. So let's talk about what we learned this week.
Super. I was surprised at how much I actually didn't know about one of my favorite drinks, tea. And so this was pretty revealing for me, just finding out some more details about tea. And there's still, I'm sure, a lot more to learn. But I did find out that tea is the second most popular beverage in the world from a world standpoint, only second after water. And in the U.S., it's not as popular as tea is around the world. Around the world, people drink a lot more tea than we do in the U.S.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually just go for tea, hot tea, something peppermint. Usually if my stomach feels unsettled or just want to have something to settle it and, make it feel comforting. I always go, I don't drink cold drinks. I always go for room temperature or hot.
Wow, that's really good insight about how we have different tea habits, drinking of tea habits. And like you just point out, you prefer to drink it warm or hot tea. And in the US, cold tea is very popular, cold iced tea. But your habits are more similar to around the world, where they really do drink more hot tea or warm tea, and specifically herbal teas. And Shonda, that's what I didn't really understand. There was a difference between herbal teas and non-herbal, other than I prefer herbal teas, and I assume they are better for you and good for you. And I did find that out, that herbal teas, they provide a lot of nutrients, and all teas are a good source of hydration, but on top of that, the herbal teas provide the nutrients. And the main thing is that herbal teas are from an infusion of various non-tea plants. So that prompted me to find out, okay, non-tea plants. So that I found out that tea, the non-herbal teas, come from the two main types of tea plants. So there are specifically tea plants. So that's the non-herbal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very new information. I never thought about there being a tea plant. Tea plants versus, because all the teas that I drink are herbal teas or like made with peppermint or mint or things like that, and those obviously are not tea plants. And then something else just came to mind is, so the tea plants are really the ones that have the caffeine in them.
True. Exactly. You've heard probably there's black tea, green tea, white teas, and these all have caffeine, and I think they have different degrees of caffeine, but the bottom line, like you said, they do have caffeines, whereas the herbal teas made from the non-tea plants like flowers, herbs, spices, and other roots generally don't have caffeine. They're caffeine free.
That's really good because I do think of recently I have you heard of Pal d'Arco? I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like pine bark tea.
Actually,
Was that one of your research?
it is not one, but I have had that at one time.
I go for that one for respiratory. That's I would say that that's one of my favorite to infuse as a tea.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't done any research on that one, but I have tasted it before, and it's a more earthy tea. I found it very refreshing. It's just a very earthy tea, but good to know that can help with respiratory. But one tea you did mention earlier that I did look at was peppermint tea. That's a fantastic tea, and you can in America, we usually just buy our teas in tea bags, but also you can buy the peppermint itself and steep it to make the tea that way. And either way, the peppermint tea is a wonderful tea, and it has some benefits such as improving your um, your energy, your power, and
Mm-hmm.
also enhancing breathing functions. And it's also been attributed to relaxation of your bronchial muscles, increased brain oxygen levels, and also muscle relaxing benefits as well. And I think a lot of people, I think you mentioned it, it can help ease your indigestion. So maybe after a especially heavy meal or something didn't agree with you, after having that meal, you might have some peppermint tea.
This is so interesting because I think that we want to promote real food and real drinks. And so we want to share today that tea is a real drink. No matter which one we choose, it can be beneficial to us in some way. You know, it's providing some nutrient or
Nutrient.
some benefit
Mm,
to our diet. So
exactly.
carry on.
Well, and now that you brought that up, because it can be so beneficial, I also was reminded that we don't have to just make the tea and have a cup of tea, but you can also add the tea to your oatmeal or your smoothie or your soup
Mm-hmm.
broth and
Mm-hmm.
marinades. So the reason why I thought that was exciting, like you said, because of the nutritional benefits, you don't have to just drink it. You can add it, incorporate it into the preparation of your foods. So that was pretty
Mm-hmm.
exciting. But also, I have the top five that I picked out. There are lots of herbal teas, but there were five that I honed in on. And another one I'm sure you may have heard of is chamomile. A lot
Right.
of people drink chamomile tea, and that is one that it generally has a very calming effect. So it might be something you want to drink before you go to bed and can actually help with your sleep, getting to sleep and a better sleep. And then there's another tea called burdock root, and that was interesting to me because I've actually eaten the burdock root in a sandwich or a hand roll that they used to serve in Singapore and Southeast Asia. It's pretty popular to have dishes with rice or hand roll made with a black or red rice. And then burdock was one of the different items that you could put in it. But burdock root tea has a long list of health benefits like detoxifying the body because it helps with healing the liver and preventing some chronic diseases, as well as reducing inflammation and just boosting the immune system overall. That includes your respiratory infections, helping to heal those with the burdock root tea, and also improving your hair health and stomach disorders. So there is like a lot of benefits to this particular tea made from the burdock root.
Wow. So what does the burdock root taste like when you had it in those, sandwiches or wraps?
Wow,
Is it
that's
bitter?
no, I didn't think it was bitter. It's definitely not. it's more on the savory side, and
Okay.
it was like parsnip, if you can think of that. Uh, it's very interesting. It was cut up like, you know how you get the match, what do you call them? The carrots, those little
Oh,
sticks.
like matchsticks. Oh, okay.
Matchsticks. Thank you.
Oh, so is burdock a root?
It is burdock root.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was thinking more like a green plant.
No, it's a root. So it's like a more white or off-white color. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I haven't really seen it here. So I don't, it didn't have like a very pronounced taste, more on the mild side, but it was very tasty, complemented with the rice, the carrots, even cucumbers, all those good things. So that was, I'm going to be in search of burdock root tea. I haven't found any or looked for it, but will be in the future. And then the third tea is ginger. And I think many of us are familiar with ginger with our cooking and also sucking on ginger. If you've ever, sometimes when you're pregnant, you're suffering from morning sickness, and just anytime you feel nauseated, ginger is a very good go-to. So ginger tea could be something that can help greatly with that morning sickness or being nauseated or motion sickness too. Ginger, sipping on some ginger tea can help with those um, times when you're suffering from those things. And also, I didn't realize it can help ease your period pains. So it also supports our immunity overall. And there are studies that show that it can help protect against cancer, heart disease, as well as type 2 diabetes. So that was all very, very interesting and exciting ways that we can prevent, help with prevention of diseases.
Right. And let's remind our community that we're just talking about tea and water today, but the goal is to use all these foods together in combination to help build our immune system. So we can't ever just look at one specific thing and say that's going to be our cure. We're talking about real food, real drinks, and the lifestyle, which means that we want to incorporate all these things into healthy living. So
Great.
go ahead. I
Great.
just wanted to remind everyone about that.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. There's a fourth tea. Hibiscus tea is another super tea to drink. And many of us probably are familiar with the hibiscus plant. We actually have one in our front yard that has those beautiful flowers. Well, this beautiful plant, you can drink the hibiscus tea from those from from the hibiscus plant. You can get hibiscus tea, and it tastes somewhat like cranberries.
Wow. Are you saying that any hibiscus plant I can go make into a tea? That there isn't like a specific one that is, used, or I don't know, like some mushrooms that grow wild, they're poisonous and some, are beneficial. So,
That's a great point, Shonda. I would not, I'm not advocating we go out and get the hibiscus leaves from our plants outside. We don't
so
know.
we
That's a
don't know
good point.
yet.
I have always purchased my hibiscus
Okay.
tea, and I do know of people who have purchased the actual plant. Well, the leaves, the dried leaves. You can do that, but yes, make sure you check that out. You purchase it from a, a reliable source. And yeah, I would not just go and harvest it from our own plants. That's a very good point. Yeah, we'll have to look that up. But from the hibiscus leaves that you've purchased or the tea bags, you there are some benefits from drinking that tea, and some of them are that they're rich in antioxidants and may boost your good HDL levels and lower bad LDL cholesterol and triglycerides for people with diabetes. And it also helps to protect the liver and promote weight loss. And the last cool thing I wanted to mention is I read that it helps support immunity through its antibacterial potency. I did not realize that.
No, no, I didn't at all. And I like the sweet taste of uh, hibiscus tea. I think it has like a little
It
tanginess or whatever
does.
to it. And normally when I'm having tea, I do use some stevia
Oh,
in my tea, like 1 or 2 drops. I don't know, I just don't go for sugar, but it has a really nice balance with that little bit of sweetness
tartness, a
and,
bit of a
you know,
tartness.
and it's kind of tangy. I guess it's tropical, it's kind of citrusy.
And some people have compared it to be similar to cranberries, but I don't
Mm.
think it's
Mm-hmm.
overly tart, but it does remind you a bit of that. But it's a lovely tea to drink.
Mm-hmm.
So that tea and the there's another tea called rooibos,
Oh,
as it's commonly
yes. Uh-huh.
referred to as red or red bush tea. So instead of the rooibos name, you might just see it also advertised as red bush tea or red tea, and it comes from the leaves of a shrub
Mm-hmm.
native to South Africa. And it's another tea, another herbal tea that's loaded with antioxidants as well as anti-inflammatory compounds. And it has been linked to bone health protection and improved digestive health as well as obesity prevention. Yeah. And yeah, I'm glad you gave us that reminder earlier that we're not saying, oh, you just drink these teas and it's a cure all. No, but it's to complement the overall lifestyle of healthy eating and choosing to be intentional about what we decide to eat and drink. One other thing it said about this tea was that in small amounts, they have found it to contain iron, calcium, potassium, copper, and magnesium, zinc, and well, just a lot of minerals. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that's something surprising about all the herbal plants and especially when they are infused in water. I mean, they are very, I guess, potent.
True.
They're powerful. They're powerful antioxidants that do go a long way with such little bitty, small amounts do go a long way.
That's a very good point. And like you said, infused in water. So that's why I'm excited to learn more about, well, what water is the best water to drink, or what should I be looking into when I consider the water that I'm drinking?
So that wraps up our discussion about tea. Next time, we will be discussing water and how it can help boost your immune system. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Remember, you can catch show notes and additional details at realfoodanddrinks.com under the podcast menu. Also, subscribe to our podcast if you aren't already a member of our community. And if listening through Anchor, please send us a message of topics you would like to hear us have conversations about. Until next time, let's just be real.